Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte came face to face for the first time in this promotion ahead of their fight this weekend, April 23rd in London. So this was not an unusual press conference, but maybe just not what I expected. Remembering in the years before this fight was made, I think there was an expectation if these guys ever fought, there would be all sorts of verbal sparring and jabs, and these guys would be very entertaining in the build-up. And it's certainly different to, the realities of it to what maybe was expected. And I think in part that's helped cause the silence by Dillian Whyte in the build-up, and then even in fight week, the sort of general sort of chumminess and respect that's shown. Not that that's a bad thing, and I'm not saying it, but in terms of the build-up, which has felt a little bit muted, I haven't been seeing as much as I thought I would of the fight. Haven't been hearing as many people talk about the fight as I might have. And that's a shame because it's a great fight. And I think it's going to be more competitive than some people give it credit for. Such a big occasion, 94,000 fans at Wembley. One of the best fights that can be made in the heavyweight division. Two guys who are legitimately among the best in the heavyweight division. We don't get these fights often. So in that sense, for me, it's been a little surprising. Things haven't been a bit more sort of edgier seat. You're waiting on the different statements. You're expecting, some sort of argy-bargy, something to happen, something to flare up. And the best we got at the press conference was as Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte faced off, some of their team started to get a little bit sort of, mouthy at each other, and Whyte and Fury calmed them down. And I guess maybe part of it from Fury and also Whyte, and remembering Fury in the media press call from a week ago, he actually said there's no need for fisticuffs, pushing and shoving, bad words at a press conference, etc., because you don't need that to sell a fight. Well, sometimes you need a little bit of that. You don't want it to be all steak and no sizzle. So I think we have sort of reached the situation where we need a little bit of oomph just to get more people eyeballs on the fight. I think it's going to sell well, but maybe it could have sold better if the build-up had been a real barnstormer. And I'm not predicting it's going to flop or anything like that, but do you see what I mean? It kind of feels like it's gone slightly more under the radar than it should have for a fight of this magnitude. But of the statements from the press conference, which, it was kind of revealing, but also it was a little bit of a retread of some of the statements of last week. Both guys a little bit cagey about what they're looking to do. But of Dillian Whyte, when he was asked, and this is a couple of times, what are you going to do? How are you going to counteract Tyson Fury? He spoke about adaptability.
It's one of those fights where I've been working being adaptable, because those fights I'm going to have to adapt constantly, you understand? I'm going to have to adapt, make smart decisions when I need to do what and how I need to do it and how I need to approach what I'm doing. So that's it. There's no strategy here. That's it. Just need to just go and do my thing. Adapt as of when and do my thing and keep changing and keep adapting to whatever he does. And that's what it would take to win the fight. I'm not going to envisage this or envision him doing that, me chasing him or him chasing me. No. I'm just envisioning being able to adapt quickly and make the decision quickly as of when and when I need to make it.
And of Dillian Whyte, Tyson Fury, he really talked him up, said he was a good opponent.
He's a good fighter, Dillian Whyte. He's a good, strong, solid man. He's big, he's strong, he's tough, he's game. He's got a good punch on him. He's got good power. He's knocked out a lot of men. He's had a good learning career as well. He's got a lot of experience in the fight game. He was also a kickboxer and an MMA man as well. So he's definitely a man that needs a lot of respect, and that's why I've given him all his training camp. I've had everything possibly I can do to train for this. I've done so. I haven't left any stones unturned. I haven't not trained as hard as I would have done for anybody else. I've trained as hard for Dillian as I have for Wilder or anybody else, or Klitschko or anybody. So he'll be fighting the best Tyson Fury. I'm in great shape. I've had good sparring. I've had good food. I've drank my water. I've had my vitamins. I've had everything. So there's no excuses from me. I'm injury free, and that's it. He's fighting the best version of Tyson Fury, and that's it.
And I guess in terms of that respect, That is good to hear, because so often in the past, Tyson Fury has spoken about his opponents in a derogatory manner in the lead up to fights, calling them bums and nothing, but then wanting credit after the fight. So I think this change of tack, saying, actually, this guy is a good opponent, I have trained hard, I did need to do some things a bit differently, I am going to give him all the credit, and I'm going to treat him like a serious threat. That is good to hear, because I think Dillian Whyte is a very live opponent. Like I say, I don't think this is going to be no walkover. I think Tyson Fury is going to use his height and his reach. We had a little bit more of an indication that Tyson Fury is going to mix in some of his older style pre the last couple of Wilder fights.
Well, for this job, it's just, Tyson being more himself. He's able to do more of the things that he was doing back throughout his career leading up to the time where I trained him. And, just being more powerful doing that. That's what I'm looking for in Tyson. And also for Tyson Fury to be a much better thinker and setting things up. That was the main thing that we worked on, was just the thinking.
Fury also addressed sparring with Dillian Whyte in the past, because he's been asked about that, and Whyte famously has said and used on social media, look, I busted you up in sparring, dropped you, etc. Fury said, look, sparring is sparring.
When we sparred years ago, I think it was about 2011, 12, whatever, sparring is sparring, I think I was preparing for David A. I could have been preparing for Klitschko. I can't really remember if it was 15 or 13. And Dillian came in and he did his job along with the rest of the guys who was there, helping me prepare for a fight. You know what I mean? It's not about, I beat him up in a spar or he beat me up in a spar. We was there working together, and we were good friends together. We went out for a drink. We ate together. We slept together. He was a part of our team. Oh, shit!
We didn't sleep together, bro.
I'm sorry, man.
No, we didn't sleep together, bro. We slept in a similar surrounding, but not together, bro. Relax.
When Whyte was asked if he's a 12-round fighter, he said absolutely.
I've done 12 rounds before, of course I got it in the legs. You see how strong my legs is. Of course I got it in the legs, listen. It's a different challenge, it's a challenge. I must be in my A game, I must have work, but we've worked hard in the gym, and I believe in myself, and listen, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, man. I'm that kind of fighter where whatever I gotta do, I'll do. Any victory by any means necessary, I'll do that. And I'm not scared to take risks. I've taken risks my whole life, so it's nothing new.
So in terms of how press conferences go, yeah, it was fine. It was pretty standard. I think just because of the characters involved, it just felt a little lacking. And I know some people will go, oh, well, a press conference doesn't sell the fight. Well, actually, it can. It can be a big part to get people interested, especially those casual fans. Because some of those antics in the past, Derek Chisora throwing a table, it got people interested. People hooked, there's some really bad blood here. These guys, it doesn't feel like there's the sort of animosity that I think maybe we thought was there in the past. But I think some of that as well could be both these guys leaning into sort of mind games. Tyson Fury not wanting to potentially, get under Dillian Whyte's skin. Maybe he's deliberately trying to talk him up, butter him up, keep some of Dillian Whyte's maximum violence, as it were, at bay. And perhaps Dillian Whyte is just trying to stay out of the verbal sparring with Fury, not wanting to get into it, because sometimes Fury gets in guys' heads, and that has been a big part of past fights and tactics that he's used against other fighters, trying to use mind games, get them to be volatile, get them second guessing themselves. And potentially Whyte is leading into that, going, I'm not going to give you the opportunity. Just go in there, be focused, do my job, and try to get the W. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.